fam, welcome back. Marshawn Alaniyo here. I am your favorite shift relationship strategist, where I help Black Christian women that are married or in long-term relationships to stop feeling disconnected and unloved and shift you to feeling heard, understood, and appreciated. Now, today we are talking about another how-to videos, and I just want to briefly express to you that I've been talking about a lot of how-to videos because there are so many channels out there that give you the reasons why, which are very important, but I am giving the strategies, the tools, the tactics here on this channel so you can take your relationship from where it actually is today to where you would love for it to be tomorrow by implementing these strategies, by implementing these tools and tips into your relationship so you can change it around, because you must understand, sis, that you are the answer that you are looking for. You are the only person that can change and turn your relationship around. You can come to somebody's channel such as myself or somebody else's and listen to all of the relationship and marriage advice that you need, but until you take the action to change things around, to do things differently, then it does not matter. So now let's jump into the topic of today, which is how to thrive in your relationship. I want your relationship to thrive. I want your marriage to thrive. And so I'm going to give you actual strategies on how to make your relationship thrive. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The very first one is to speak life into yourself, because if you're not healthy, then it doesn't matter. But then coupled with that, speak life into your partner or into your spouse. So speaking life, and what does that actually look like? Speaking life into yourself is saying, I am beautiful, I am smart, I am kind, I do mess up, but guess what? I can come back and do things better the next time around. I do not have to continue to repeat the same old habits, the same behaviors, especially those things that you know are not taking you to the next level. So speak life into yourself. Accept the things that did not go right in your past and realize that you have the power to move forward with them. Move forward, because today is now a new day. So speak life into yourself. And then also, I mentioned speaking life into your spouse. Now, what does that actually mean? It means being appreciative, saying that you appreciate him for X, Y, and Z, being grateful for the things that he's doing, definitely telling him thank you, right? Letting him know that you trust him, let him know that you trust his ideas, as well as being there to support his ideas. So speaking life into your spouse, letting him know, you know what, you didn't get it right this time, but it's okay. I got your back. I'm still here with you. We are in this together because we are a team. We are building our dream together. We are breaking these generational curses. We are doing all of this not only for ourselves, but because we want our child or children to see how it is to be in a beautiful relationship versus a toxic one. So speak life into yourself first, and then also speak life into your spouse, and that coupled together will definitely speak life into your relationship. The second thing is, before an argument, and I like to call them discussions, take place, right? Visualize that it is going to go well, instead of already thinking that you know the answer, instead of thinking that you know how your spouse is going to respond, especially when an argument or a very deep conversation needs to take place. We have a tendency to go off of our past, which is something that you should do, because the past actually leaves clues, right? Whether success or failure, it does leave clues. But because you want to thrive in your relationship, you want to visualize this conversation going well, doing well. The response is different. It's better this time around. And then also visualizing yourself and how you are going to respond and how you are going to be intentional about the way that you are showing up, your facial expressions, your body language, right? So it can go to the point where your spouse is seeing that you are different, right? When you are cool, calm, and collective, delivering some messages and delivering a deep conversation that you yourself do not want to have, then your spouse will pick up on that and say, okay, she's not yelling. Why am I yelling? Right? She's not blaming me. She just wants to have a conversation. Why am I blaming her? So the way that you decide to show up will absolutely translate into the way that your spouse is showing up as well. The third thing is to behave the way that you want your spouse to behave with you or towards you, right? So if you know that you are yelling, screaming, cussing, and fussing, you best believe that your spouse is absolutely going to do the same, because most of us go into protection mode. If we could be the person that does not want to do any of that cussing, fussing, fighting, raise your hand because that's me, right? But if your spouse does that, it's a trigger. It doesn't mean that you can't stop yourself from doing this, right? From going down that same rabbit hole, especially if that's something that you're used to doing and you notice that it goes downhill. You do have the power to stop that, but it does take practice. So practice, right? Behaving the way that you want your spouse to behave with you. If you don't want him yelling, screaming, fussing, and fighting, guess what? You can't be yelling, screaming, cussing, and fighting. If you don't want him popping off and not listening, right, cutting you off, then you can't pop off, not listen, and cut him off. So be and put out there into the universe and put out there into the world, especially when you're speaking with your spouse, the behaviors and habits that you want him to relay back to you. Listen, I remember, and it actually still happens when I'm talking to my husband, and he is, I'll say something, right? I'll say something, but I'm not usually being the true, authentic Marshawn that needs to show up, right? And so I might cut him off. And that's the thing that neither one of us like, right? And so instead of him yelling, he'll just be like, I was talking. I was talking. And I'm like, yeah, because that's a trigger to let me know, Marshawn, it's time to be quiet because it's not your time to talk. Not in a disrespectful way, but just in a way that captures my attention to say, it's my turn to talk. Can you just listen? And vice versa. But best believe the reason why I'm saying that even in this way is because I started doing that to him, right? And then he started to replicate, right, the thing that I was doing to him later on in different conversations. And so trust me, your spouse is watching your habits and your behaviors, whether you're making them new habits and behaviors or whether you pulling those old ones and continuing to exhibit them in your relationship. So you don't want to do that. The fourth thing is to focus on the positive things that your spouse is bringing to the table. This is how you are going to know and understand that your relationship is in thrive mode, because not only are you focusing on the positive things, you're also focusing on the things that he is doing right, the things that he is saying that makes you feel good. You are being appreciative in that moment. You are showing him gratitude in that moment. And guess what? The more that you're able to do that, the more he will be able to hone in on, oh, she liked that. Oh, she liked that. And guess what? The next time around, you will get more of that same behaviors and habits. The good, the positive. So speaking life into him, showing gratitude, right? Showing appreciation will absolutely continue the process of you focusing on the positive things, because so many of us get caught up in the negative things, what's not going right, what he's doing wrong. We have a tendency to tell our friends and our family members, and we go down that road of negativity. And once you start down the road of negativity, if you don't have something to snap you out of it, you absolutely stay there, you stay stuck, and then you start to move into depression mode, and then you don't feel like doing anything. You're into woe is me mode. You're sitting on the couch crying all day long. Well, you don't have time for that, sis. You got other things to do. You got a family to raise. You got yourself, your own person to take care of. And so as long as you can start focusing on the positive, you can absolutely bring up the negative and the things that you don't like. I'm definitely not saying hold that stuff in, because you don't want resentment to start building up, but you do want to speak about it in a way that he is able to receive it. And that's a different conversation, but focus on the positive more than you are focusing on the negative, so you yourself can look at your spouse and be like, this was the best person for me. I chose well, right? And then again, you can write down the negative. You can have conversations about the negative. You can talk about solutions about the negative and how to curtail all of that stuff so it no longer comes into your relationship or marriage again, right? Number 5. I want you to make your relationship a priority. If you ever want to thrive in your relationship, you need to make sure that it is a priority, because otherwise, what are you doing? If your spouse is no longer a priority, why are you in that relationship? If work is all you want to do and there is no work-life balance, and I know sometimes it can be a little crazy, I get that. It's not always going to be across the board balance in your relationship or in your life. I get that. However, if your spouse is never a priority or very little a priority, then how much longer do you expect for him to make you a priority, number one, but then also to want to be around you as well as in the relationship with you long term. We have a tendency to make everything, everybody a priority because we think once we get the spouse, that's all the work we got to do. We got you, and now I ain't got to do nothing else. But that's really so far from the truth that you're setting yourself up for failure. So please understand that you must make your spouse as well as your relationship a priority. This includes, but it is not limited to, making sure that you two are spending one-on-one time together. So if you do have a child or children there that cannot stay home by themselves because they're younger, then make sure that you are getting a babysitter of some sort, whether a family member or if you have to pay, even if it's just for a couple of hours. The recommended to stay connected with your spouse is once a week. Continue to date your spouse. Continue to make them a priority. And dating does not mean you always have to leave the house. It just means uninterrupted time with your spouse for a designated, focused amount of time. Focused. You two are there together, right? Doing this thing together. All right. I'm going to move on from that. The number 7, I know this is number 6. Don't avoid those uncomfortable conversations. No, you must have the difficult conversations in order to thrive in your relationship, because if you don't, then you're just going to be sitting there holding all of this stuff in you, and you don't realize the thing that your body takes in your negative energy and holds on to it. And a lot of people don't even realize that this is where these illness and sickness comes from, whether it's a common cold, or it could be sitting and festering in you so long that it actually leads to cancer. Look it up. Research has actually shown. Is it every cancer? No, but there are some specific cancers that come into play, and breast cancer is one of them, where a lot of women that get breast cancer are people pleasers, and it's because they're juggling all this stuff. They can't say no to people. But look it up, right? If you don't believe me, look it up. There's research out there that shows that cancer can fester and stay in there, but it's really because it's been in there so long and you have never released your angst, your anxiety, or your frustration about particular things, and you just allow them to keep building up. And the way that it manifests in your body is through cancer. But I'll tell you my story, and then I'll move on to point number 7, which is, I remember when I was oh, that scared me. I remember when I was in my first marriage, and I would always be sick. Always, 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 always sick. And I was just wondering, why the heck are you always sick? You weren't a sickly child. Now, if you was a sickly person, you probably can't tell the difference. But I know me, I was hardly ever sick as a child, and into my teenage years, into my 20s. And so when I got married I got married at 21, but when I was around 25, I noticed that I was like in one common cold, out. In one common cold, out. In one common cold, out. And it was just repeated. And guess what? I lied to you not. When me and my first husband divorced, I was no longer sick. And then I actually did some research behind it, and it's like, yes, a lot of people that get the common cold back to back, you have a lot of stress from your particular spouse. And of course, yes, that goes into your relationship, but it's really your spouse. It's really your spouse. It absolutely can be the relationship overall, because there are just some things that just don't sit right with you, but it's really the person that you chose to be in your relationship with. And instead of you releasing him, like the sickness goes away, right? And then it comes right back. It's because you have yet to get rid of that partner. It's deeper than that. Again, look it up if you don't believe me. Common colds, for sure. You can get them time and time again. They fester in your body when you're staying in a toxic relationship. And again, long term in the toxic relationship, decades on decades, it manifests as some type of cancer. Again, not for everybody, but there have been plenty of people that I know personally, as well as those that come to me as clients, that can attest to, that have battled cancer because they are now trying to get out of the relationship, or they just release the relationship, or come to the understanding that they accept that the man that they're in a relationship with is not giving them the things that they need in order to thrive in life. Hence, thriving in your relationship, the conversation and topic of today. The 7th and final thing is that we need to commit to our relationships and committing to them working. Now, there's a caveat to that, because some people that you're in a relationship with, some of you that are going to watch this, you do not need to be in that relationship. You just don't. You chose the wrong partner. You chose the wrong spouse, and maybe you're now on this journey to become better, but your spouse is not. So it might be time for you to wrap that relationship or even marriage up. So, but if it is something that you're just not getting your way, you're the selfish person. Otherwise, when you really look at your spouse, you're like, oh, I got a pretty good spouse, but he's not able to say the same thing about you. Then I need for you in that instance, like if it's something pretty basic, something pretty simple, where there's no type of abuse in there, right? Where there's where your red flags are not being taken advantage of or implemented into the relationship, right? If it's something simple, such as you know that you were the cause and you can be better, then I want you to commit to working on your relationship so it can thrive. Because the truth of the matter is, it's not always the man. That's the truth of the matter, sis. It's not. I'm getting several women that are coming to me to say, you know what, it actually is me. Help me be a better me. And that's exactly what I help them do. And so, as a caveat, right, just to go right into it, if you watch this video this long and you know that it is you, you know it's not your spouse, you know that it is you, then click the link down in the description box below to join my small group of Black women that I help in group coaching get from where they are in their relationship, which is stuck in some format, to where they really want to be, which is unstuck, being able to open up, being able to trust, being able to look their spouse in the eye and say, I made a good choice. And guess what? I love myself for wanting to change and go through this journey of doing the work, because sis, it's not going to be easy, but you can do it, because you are the answer that you have been waiting for. Again, I am Marshawn Alanio. I am your favorite shift relationship strategist, where I help Black Christian women that are married or in long-term relationships to stop feeling disconnected and unloved and shift you to feeling heard, understood, and appreciated. I love you, and there is nothing that you can do about it. And I will see you in the next video. Now go out there and make sure that your relationship or marriage is thriving. Bye now.